My question is to the Minister of Energy and Resources and asks, did he on 10 February 2010 sign off a proposal to Cabinet to consult on the removal from Schedule 4 of parts of Kahurangi, Mount Aspiring, Rakiura and Paparoa National Parks for mining purposes?
Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, sometime before that I signed out a document that went to the Cabinet Committee on that day, so the answer theoretically is yes, and the member knows that because all of that information is now publicly available on the MED website. We've been very open about the fact that officials from MED and DOC initially, in answer to the stock take, said there was a large amount of land that did contain mineral deposits that might be considered for Schedule 4 removal. Ministers discussed those proposals and rejected them, and I made that very clear the day that I released the discussion document. Mr Speaker, the discussion paper that we did settle on, in fact, had an addition of some 5,000 hectares to the Schedule 4.
Metiria Turei.
Which of the statements made in his name on 22 March was true? That Mount Aspiring National Park is not under further investigation and will remain protected in Schedule 4, or Mount Aspiring National Park would be considered for competitive tender for mineral exploration?
The Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Well, Mr Speaker, I don't know which two quotes are being referred to, but what I do know is that Cabinet has decided there will be no further mineral exploration in Mount Aspiring, in Kahurangi and any other national park other than the investigation of the mineral potential in Rakiura. We're very, very open about that. We've put all that information on the website. We're hiding nothing. And as long as the member likes to tilt at the windmill, she can be sure it won't fall over.
Point of order.
Point of order, Metiria.
Thank you, sir. My apologies to my colleague. I seek leave to table two documents. The first is page 5 of the Maximising Our Mineral Potential Stocktake of Schedule 4, where it says the government is not further investigating the potential of Kahurangi or Mount Aspiring National Parks, which remain protected in Schedule 4.
Leave is sort of table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection.
Released on, my apologies, two documents. And the second document released on the same day, the notice of land closure.
Order. What's the source of this document?
The source of this document is from the Crown Minerals Ministry of Economic Development. A notice of land closure that says it is the Minister's intention to consider these areas of land for competitive tender allocation for mineral exploration, its associated schedule and the map of that area that showed Mount Aspiring National Park being considered for tender.
Order. Leave us sort of table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. Supplementary question, the Honourable David Parker.
Why has the Minister withheld paragraphs 50, 51, 79, 80 and 81 from the 10 February Cabinet paper released under the Official Information Act? And are those withheld details even more embarrassing than the reality that until a month ago, Minister of Energy Mr Brownlee with Ms Wilkinson was signing off removal of 400,000 hectares of national parks from Schedule 4?
The Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, none of the facts mentioned in that question are correct, and I can't respond to them. They're not correct facts.
Metiria Turei.
Speaker.
Metiria Turei.
How can the Minister reconcile telling the public that Mount Aspiring National Park is to be protected from mineral exploration in his 22nd of March document and telling the mineral industry through the notice of land closure released on that same day that Mount Aspiring National Park will be open for mineral exploration?
Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, one of the interesting anomalies in all of this is that right now anybody could theoretically go and get a permit to prospect on Schedule 4 land. There are three categories: prospecting, exploring and mining. Mining is prohibited, exploring is prohibited, prospecting is not. One gets a prospecting permit for those lands and they can go out there and dig to their heart's content. What's also, it's on a first-come, first-served basis that the future applications are considered. I thought it was prudent, while we're asking the public to consider the wider interests, to put a prohibition on a vast blocks of land across New Zealand. For simplicity, the maps are very, very general. but there will be specific parts of that map where they could be open to this sort of activity. Mr Speaker, we were in fact trying to avoid exactly what the Greens fear, a Klondike-type rush on high-value conservation land.
Pesata Sam Lotu-liga.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Marion Street.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I seek leave to table, under the land closure notice referred to previously by Metiria Turei, the map attaching which covers the East Nelson Reserve land, including the Grampians and Mount Richmond Forest Park.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There's no objection. Point of order, the Honourable Jury.
Mr Speaker, you can't speak to a point of order if it's seeking leave. But I ask the House's indulgence. All of this is available on the MED website. Nothing is hidden.
Order. That's not actually a point of order, but I'll ignore that for the time being. Pesata Sam Lotu-liga.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister. Has he read the 2005 version of the General Policy for National Parks document produced by the Department of Conservation for the New Zealand Conservation Authority?
Honourable Jury Brownlee.
Yes, Mr Speaker, I have. The member may be interested to know that in Policy 10.8b of that document, it states, proposed access arrangements to prospect, explore or mine in national parks will be considered on a case-by-case basis. It's very interesting to note that in 2005, the Labor government approved exactly the policy that the National League government is advocating now, considering mining on conservation land on a case-by-case basis. Mr Speaker, it seems for the Green Party it was okay if Labor did it, but it's not okay if National does it.
Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. If the Minister truly has no intention of mining in these national parks, will he now commit to withdrawing the notice of land closure for all areas of national parks included in it and allow the Schedule 4 protection to remain?
Honourable Jury Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, that would prejudice against any possibility of the government preventing either prospecting or exploring opportunities in those areas. It would be fundamentally absurd to do what the member is suggesting.
Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Which of the statements made in his name on 22nd of March was true? That Mount Aspiring National Park will remain protected in Schedule 4, or that Mount Aspiring National Park will be surveyed for mineral exploration using the $4 million subsidy he is currently consulting the public about?
The Honourable Jury Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, I want to deal with this in two parts. The first statement made by me is absolutely correct. The second one is a truthful statement because when a plane flies over the top doing the aerial magnetic survey, it doesn't suddenly turn itself off as it goes across a national park boundary. That may be hard for the Greens to understand, but it is the fact of the science.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Just gets weirder and weirder. When the Minister stated in this House that, quote, the consultation process will be very, very public, why did he not tell the public then of his intention to open Mount Aspiring National Park to, quote, competitive tender for mineral exploration?
The Honourable Jury Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, I don't know where the member got that from, but that's simply not the case.
Order.
Point of order, Metiria Turei.
Order.
I see.
Now,
Point of order.
Government backbenchers are skating on thin ice because a point of order was clearly called and just loud barrage of interjections. I think they're probably protected by the sheer numbers, but I don't want that to become a practice. I ask them to desist. Metiria Turei.
Point of order, sir. I'm not sure how to proceed, given that the Minister has just granted me permission to table his document, which says it's the Minister's intention to consider these areas for competitive tender for allocation for mineral exploration.
My problem is, having just asked the House to be quiet while the member makes a point of order, I've got no idea what the point of order is, what the issue of order is. Now, the member has the chance to ask a further supplementary question, and if she didn't understand the Minister's answer, she can deal with it further by way of a supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary question. Well, this is a serious one.
Order.